most profound gift you can give in life is the gift of knowledge. It is one of the things that we're blessed as parents to have the opportunity to do. But when you can be deliberate about it as a people manager, as a leader, then this is an obligation that is perhaps one of the most fulfilling. So I will stand on all the protocols and saying hello to the internet audience as well, and go into a book that has resonated. So I would not necessarily say it has changed my life. I came upon this book at the latter stage of my present career. So let me say that again, the latter stage of my present career. So I'm not at the latter stage of my life, it's the latter stage of my present career. And it was quite illustrative of many things that I hold dear. Nana, thank you so much for giving my profile. I must mention that one of the most fulfilling roles I ever had was when I was HR director. When you have an opportunity to touch lives, to be responsible for lives, and to create change in the direction that people are taking their lives. So one of the things that this book touches on is a reflection on leadership. So I know my slides are going to be going up shortly, so I'm hoping to use these slides to guide the audience. Is he putting up my slides? Okay, all right, excellent. While he's doing that, I'll just mention as a tidbit for the audience, physical and digital. The most important word, leadership, was best echoed by Steve Jobs of blessed memory. And let me quote it. He said, a manager gets you to do things that you might not really want to do. But a leader inspires you to do things you never knew you could. So the day your career journey has the intersection with an inspiring leader, then you will really be able to reach for the stars. So what is the most important word in leadership? It is that word inspire. And this is what Simon Sinek expands on, unpacks on so beautifully in his book, Let's Start With Why. So I'm going to go through this in an attempt to get you to take the essence of the book. If I can do that, then I've achieved one thing, okay? Because I think it's really quite compelling. And then I would be glad to take some comments from the audience to see how different aspects of this book resonate with you. As a classical book reviewer, I am supposed to tell you my opinion of the book. I'll do that also. The book is awesome. All right, so that's why I'm standing here talking about it. And at the tail end, I'm supposed to critique the book. Let me do that right now. The most popular format, the print is too small for people of my age. All right, that aside, it is awesome. All right, so now that I've dispensed with that, let me now go back into my schedule and focus on unpacking this book. So he starts with a very powerful statement. If you hire people just because they can do a job, they will work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they'll work for you with blood and sweat and tears. And as I said, this right at the start of the book hit me because early career. I remember being in London at Careers in Africa. There's a lot of you on the online audience who know what that is, where you're recruiting the best, the creme de la creme of Nigerian talent, double MBAs, triple MBAs, looking to come back into Nigeria and move country forward. I had a gimmick I used to use. I didn't have the biggest budget. I was there competing with the Chevrons, the Schlumbergers. They had twice my budget. But I had a little gimmick. I would enter the room and I would say, I don't have a role for anybody in this room. And they'll start looking back. Am I in the right room? And then I'll say, I don't do roles. I do careers. If I put you in a role, I'm exploiting you. If I bring you in, knowing that you can travel to great heights within my organization, then I am actually building you. And it was amazing. Over 3 years, we got 14 people because that message, which is what Simon Sinek uses with they will work for you with blood and sweat and tears if they believe what you believe. Can you hear me now? Good, all right. So I'm going to take you through the whistle-stop tour of the profound arguments that Simon makes. I take from each of those sections. So it's quite simple, 6 steps and extracting the learning. So can we populate the slide? Yes. Okay, so let's populate it. So what is the essence of this book? Simon Sinek is making a strong argument, which I buy into 100%, about the difference between role leadership and inspirational leadership, or what he calls purpose-driven leadership. And to do this, to get the mundane leader to be able to transform into an inspirational leader. Remember what I said earlier on, that inspiration is the ingredient that turns you into a real leader who can carry people beyond their wildest dreams. So to do this, Simon Sinek says you need to do something quite simple. And what that is, you need to understand the why behind your actions. Let's remember, the title of the book is Start With Why. Why am I doing this? Then you go into understanding how we can align all efforts and communications around the why. The next slide. So start with why. Understanding and defining what is your why. And aligning all efforts and communication behind this. Yes. So let's take the first part. I'm going to do this quite quickly because I'm looking forward to getting some discussion around that. So what is the first part? The first part of the book is decisions and influence. And what is he talking about here? Let's load the slide. Let's load it completely. Simon Sinek is talking about decisions are the driving force behind organizations, behind companies. Be they good, be they bad. And what Simon does is that he breaks this decision from the analysis that he has done. Let us remember, who is Simon Sinek? He's a person that has dedicated his life to understanding management science. He's a person who's ex-Brandeis University. With this book, when he actually came up with the concept, studying different organizations, and he understood what purpose-driven leadership was. He wrote this book in 2009. That same year, he did a TED Talk on this book. That TED Talk, to date, is the third most viewed TED Talk in history, tracking at more than 35 million views. So, when he says decisions are broken into 2 categories, what is Simon talking about? He says there are 2 ways in which we make decisions in organizations. And I want to see how this resonates with you back on digital or here physically. You can either do this by manipulation or you can do this by inspiration. Remember that we're talking about the leadership sphere. In the leadership domain, I remember a term that I've come across too many times in Nigeria and international, MBI, management by intimidation. And this is where you're using your leadership to serve yourself. But where you can inspire people, again, let me steal from Steve Jobs' definition, then what are you doing? You're getting them to do things they never think of. So you're leading them bigger and better. So decisions and influence is the first part that Simon Sinek says, let's take an understanding, where do we want to land as a leader? Clearly not in manipulation, because everything becomes a transaction. Rather, we want to be able to inspire. One of the learnings that come from this part of the book, if we go to the next slide. So a couple of learnings. Let's build them all up. So the clear one is leaders should inspire and not manipulate. If you're a manipulative leader, you will get the job done. But as soon as you have another task, you are starting from scratch. You are literally reinventing that wheel. When you walk out of the room, your leadership stops if you're a manipulating leader. If you're an inspiring leader, you can be in a different region and your team have your back. They don't want to let you down because you inspire them 360. Similarly, manipulations work in the short term for the tax, but they don't generate loyalty. Okay? And we know that businesses are built as going concerns. You are going to go through thick and thin. It is the loyalty of your staff that underpins a vibrant culture and innovative culture, a culture of excellence. If you don't have that loyalty, then people feel that the organization doesn't serve them. And this is on account of your leadership. Manipulations only lead to transactions. Learning number 3. Not a single one of them builds loyalty. Again, I'll remind you, little budgets, 14 people. And I know where those people are today. And why? Because we're telling them, if we bring you in to fill a role, I'm looking for a procurement director. Come here, you're going to be there for 3 years. I'm using you. But if I know that, wow, this procurement director is likely to be our next CEO in the next 5 years, is what you need to ensure you are using to consistently inspire people as opposed to manipulating people. Using a structure, simple structure. I love using the word 17, or the number 17. So the structure does not have 17 parts. Oh my goodness, I will lose the audience immediately. It has 3 parts. But the sequencing of the 3 parts is the essence of Simon Sinek's proposition. So, 3 things that provide balance. The golden circle has the why, the how, and the what. And what do we mean by the why? The clarity of why. So, believing in something bigger. And this is the starting point for the leader. Once you understand, why am I going into this? Then you want to look at the how. And the how is speaking to the processes that you now put in place to perpetuate that vision. And then finally, as an end result, you then bring out the what. And what is the what? The what are the products that we see all around us that come from that organization. There's some products that we know we can never let go. I can promise you that most of those products come from an organization that is practicing, quite often deliberately or unknown to them, the premise of purpose-driven leadership. Where the man, the lady on the shop floor has the same vision as the founder, then the difference is palpable across the organization. So what are the learnings from this? I'll wait for my slides to come back up. So a couple of learnings. What are the learnings that we get from getting our golden circle in balance? Okay, trying to get my slides. There we go. While he's sharing my slides, I'll give you an illustration of what I mean by purpose-driven. Apple. Let me use one that he uses in his book, and then I'll give you my example. We know Apple, the iPod. This is one of the most successful musical devices to date. If anybody has gone into an Apple store, anywhere in the world, you see the same type of culture. Why is that? They don't call it a 50 gig music device. They call it 1,000 songs in your pocket. And when you can have everybody in the organization orchestrating what they do in delivering that vision, you find out the change is palpable. We remember Coca-Cola. Douglas Dart was the charismatic CEO of Coca-Cola who propagated the vision that is serving Coca-Cola today. And what is that? A Coke at arm's length. Anywhere you go in the world, we want you to be able to pick up a Coca-Cola at arm's length. And these are the little things that allow everybody from the shop floor to the C-suite to operate with the same vision. So, to maintain lasting success, you want to be a going concern. Innovation and flexibility, what we're now calling agility in today's world, you need to know your why. By knowing your why, you are inspiring constantly rather than manipulating. Let me show you the learnings on the next slide. So what are the learnings? One of the biggest filters, learning number one of the biggest filters for decision making, for the organization, for the team, for the individual, is understanding, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Remember what we're saying. We're not saying, oh, go and find your purpose. We're saying, if you want to make decisions, which means choices, filter them with your purpose. Okay? Second, when you have a why clearly stated in an organization, anyone within the organization can make a decision as clearly and as accurately as the founder. So when MTN Nigeria have a statement that says, anywhere you go, imagine what that means. Indeed, as I said that, the person filming me repeated it. He now sang the song. He said, anywhere you go. This is what happens when you have a philosophy that is driven by purpose. Third, differentiation, which is what sets us apart. Why should I use you? Why should I choose your product? If you don't have a unique selling point, you are dying a death of 1,000 cuts. Take that from me as a former marketing director. If you don't have a unique selling proposition, then you're dying a death of. And other people call it differentiation. Now, Simon Sinek says on this call will not ever say the nightmare for the marketing director or the marketing team that all brands become generic over time. What is it that Coke will be offering that someday Pepsi will not offer? Right? What will LG offer that Sony will not offer, and vice versa? So you must be able to now leverage the differentiation in the why and how you do it. How you do it. I know a lot of people on this call, I'm not going to ask us to do this, wish we had the time, and think of many brands that they have stopped using in the last 2 years. I can think of 4 I've stopped using this year. Some brands to do with my family habit. We like dining out. And some brands have stopped using because the how thoroughly distorted. And what distorted it? They were linking the how to the what they were trying to do, which is make a profit. Not to the why, which is to give people a phenomenal customer experience that will keep on bringing them back. So your differentiation starts with the why and how, and not the how and what. Third step, now I said I'm going to break this into 3 learnings. Of the next slide. Okay, leaders need a following. So this is the third part of the book. Leadership means you need a crowd of followers, but Simon Sinek immediately is provocating. And this is going to sound familiar. This is where the book really got. He said there's a difference between leading and leadership. All right? So it's going back to where I started. Do people follow you because you hold the highest rank? Or do they follow you willingly? How can you earn the privilege to actually lead the crowd? I hope you've already taken the first part of that answer. I dropped that at the start of this conversation. I said, if you can inspire, then you're already a long way there. But he adds another element, trust. This can only be achieved through trust, and trust emerges when people feel, according to Simon, that the actions of a boss or organization is something more than self-made. It really is important. When they feel protected, when they feel cared for. The biggest cultures that you find in thriving organizations are all underpinned by trust. Okay? And why did the human race survive? It wasn't about our strength, but because we've been able to develop cultures. These are the things that hold us together. I'll give you a quick 5-second culture test. For those of you who are at work, maybe looking at this video break, what does Sunday night mean? Is Sunday night oh wow, I am so excited. All my career, I was privileged. Sunday night was the best night of the evening. Why? I used to bring my wife out at times because I'm going to work on Monday and I'm looking forward to it. If it's not a wow, then it's saying something about the culture that you work. Okay? It's saying something about the culture you work in. And what are the learnings from section 3? We go to the next slide. The learnings I pulled out. Okay, yeah, let's load them all up and I'll just go through them. The first is trust is something you do by balancing your why, your how, and your what's. Okay? And it's intentional. I hope in leaving these 3 words with you, I'm also leaving the sequencing with you. The sequencing is WHW, but the why comes first. All right? The second learning, success happens when you hire people that share the same values as you. Some of you might have heard it. Let me confirm it for a fact. Let me use careers in Africa. You heard me mention that as HR director, over 3 years, I recruited 14 people. 5 of those people, we had no role for when we flew to London, when we flew to Chelsea House. But they blew us away with their attitude. They blew us away with their disposition. And we said, we need to hire these people. I'm not talking about, there was a particular lady, 5 people, 5. And 2 of them are actually watching this program right now. Okay? So we brought in people based on, we must create space for these people. Remember, we were not creating roles, we were creating careers. All right? So success happens when you hire people that share the same values as you. And then finally, the best companies are those that have a strong sense of values. Not about skills. It's about believing in certain principles. A long time ago, Google made bold to say we're not interested in receiving. They run assessment centers to try and onboard people. And in the onboarding process, they didn't want to vote on premier first-class organization. Now, which is to understand the set of values that you're bringing into the organization. And they go out to promote their values as well. A lot of legacy organizations right now today, internationally, some that I've mentioned, are running cultural transformation projects. Why? Because they need to land on the right side of this. All right? How do you engender trust as the basis for the organizational culture? Imagine that. Okay, we have 3 more to go. So let's go to part 4. How do you rally the followers? You know, I said this is a book of 6 parts. We've done 3. This is the 4th part. And he now talks about the golden circle needing to be a core. So, you know, I've been drumming something that comes across quite strongly in Simon's book. WHW, I love acronyms, no apologies. It allows you to remember the entire model. But remember the sequence, the why, the how, and then the what. So here he's ensuring that you understand what this does in terms of organizational structure. At the top of the cone is the why level. And this is where you have your leader. And your leader must be purpose-filled and purpose-driven. Let me say this in strategic terms, in terms that are more akin to today's management. This is where the leader must have a vision, and that vision must be compelling. The vision is the why. And this is the reason why a lot of organizations mix up. Well, they first say, do we really need this vision, mission? Okay, they get somebody to just articulate anything. Which comes first? If you're still debating that in an organization, you're going to find out over time that the impact of getting your vision wrong, your mission wrong, is going to be on your organizational culture. So the golden cone starts with the leader, and the leader having a why. The next level is the how level. And this is where you have your executives who know how to bring to life the leader's ideas. So if you leader is getting down into the weeds, what do you spend your day doing as a leader? If you're executing as a leader, then you're missing something, because the biggest way of inspiring your team is not doing what you could delegate or empower them to do, but it's by inspiring them with the purpose you had in mind, when you created that idea, and getting them to execute in ways you never thought you could. And then, of course, the what are the results of these actions. So I'll say it again. A missing link, a window to the challenge a lot of organizations end up facing when things become tough is how robust is your culture? How robust is your culture? And that quite often is driven by the lack of understanding as to the power of the why, the power of the vision, right? Now, he also now brings in something that cannot, unfortunately, be bought. Charisma. The charismatic leader, right? And I see nods in the room. I'm sure there are nods all around. We are all inspired by charisma, by charismatic people. You know what Simon Sinek is suggesting? He's saying that you can be charismatic. But how do you be charismatic? Charisma is hard to define, according to Simon Sinek, nearly impossible to measure, and too elusive to copy. But here's the rub. All great leaders have it because all great leaders know their why.
They start, so they are proud to work there. No for you. And it's working for them. And then Continental Airline got into trouble, 10 CEOs in 10 years, and so I said, "File of bankruptcy." And then Betty came on board, and what he did was one, he said he was going to ensure that there's trust in the organization. He's going to put the employee first. And said, how to get the trust to make sure that your why and your what and correlation. And he began to do that. And he told the company the other way around. And I look at it, when you look at a lot of organizations in our own life, it's all about customer first. I mean, after three class, customer centric, customer loyalty. And I'm like, well, it's working out for this way they are putting the employee first. Now, what Betty said was that if the employees are happy, the customers will be happy, and the shareholders will be happy. So with your own very vast corporate experience, what is your response? Customer first or employee?
I think, Nana, it's a great question. And I'm glad you gave that quote because Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, also has a similar quote. And if you take care of your people, the people will take care of the customers, and the customers will take care of the business. So it is about having the confidence, having the result, having the trust in your idea to pass that on to your employee. Because if you put your people first, your people will deliver quite often bigger and better than you ever knew you could with that same idea. And the 100-year organization, the 100-year club as they call it, are all organizations. I don't have the statistics, but I know too many of them. You went to Southwest, we met with quite a few who have been able to demonstrate that when you do this, success will come your way. Can I also encourage the audience by saying, not that I know organizations in Nigeria, I was actually running a retreat for an organization in Nigeria. They probably might hate me for saying, you should have mentioned our name. They're into construction, and we ran an HR retreat for them. And the HR director showed a statistic that they only had 2% turnover. And why do they have 2% turnover? Because the HR team there is doing phenomenal things to show the organization.